Against the Grain Radio, 10 p.m. to midnight. All Menno, DJ Polarity, A Sharp. We up in the building. We have Roxanne Shante, the queen, the legend. I didn't know the proper introduction. I just had to say that. The queen, the icon.
I appreciate that. That's a good way of doing your introduction. I like that.
Yep. One of the first, actually the first female of the Juice Crew.
Yes.
And you were actually the first female battle MC. That I know of, I should say, that I know of.
Okay.
That I know of. So what is going on in your world?
Well, I mean, if someone was to say, okay, well, listen, give us a basis on Roxanne Shante today. Well, Roxanne Shante today is a successful entrepreneur, business owner. She now has a biopic which was produced by Pharrell Williams and Forrest Whitaker. She sold the film at Sundance. So she's doing pretty well, I would say.
That's what and you're married now?
Absolutely, absolutely. I guess that's the main factor. Everyone's like, okay, well, Roxanne finally has a man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she does.
But the one thing I wanted to ask you is that you were part of one of the biggest battles in the hip hop history, and all of you guys still managed to survive. And I understand that your former adversaries you guys are now friends. Your friends now with KRS-One. Are you guys?
Yes, absolutely. He is one of my hip hop brothers. And he is a eloquent speaker, phenomenal keynote. Like, he's someone that, sometimes I have to take a deep breath, when it's time to follow him if we're on the same panel. But he's incredible, yes. So he's definitely became he's always been my hip hop brother, but more so being able to have a family connection with him. We do have that now. I'm also friends with Kango Kid from UTFO. We're very close. I mean, we've been to the christening of his child. We go to his parties. We've been to events for his wife. Me and my husband, we make it our business to go out and support them as a couple, as they support us as a couple. We actually have a few projects coming up with them. So, yeah.
So basically, there is love in hip hop. As you can see, there is love. And also there can be peace in hip hop after you have a battle with somebody, people throwing shots and insults, and you still manage to still remain friends, because a lot of the young people today don't see that. Quickly now, after in some battles, you say something negative or that they don't like, the stab, shoot, punch, kick.
Yeah, I think what they don't understand is the benefits of becoming frenemies. And that means that once you were enemies and now you become friends, so now you become frenemies. And you don't run away from your past, because that is something that made you two connected. Like, for instance, if I'm on a show and I'm on a show with KRS-One, and he'll go out there and he'll get ready to do the bridges over, and then when my part comes, he'll stop and he'll look at me, and I'll say, like, listen, you cannot change history. You need to go out there and do the bridges over the way the bridges over is done, because when it's my turn to do Have a Nice Day, I'm going to spare no punches. I'm going to do Have a Nice Day. I'm not going to try to, get quiet on that part.
But the one thing is that you being the female in Juice, they really came at you, and like they didn't hold back. And like you at the same time didn't hold back. You always defended women in hip hop in your honor, because Snoop and Dre had a song called "Bitches Ain't Shit," and you came back with "Brothers Ain't Shit."
Absolutely.
Like you stood your ground as a female, and really, where did that come from? Like, what made you say, you know what, I'm not gonna take this line down? Where did that come from?
I think it was a fact of not just wanting to hold my ground as a female MC, but hold my ground as an MC, period. And that's the reason why the fellas spared no punches when it came to going at me, because they felt like, okay, you know what, she's not just a girl. She is a great MC, so we're not gonna go light on her. So people will say, oh yeah, but when they made records about you, or when you were in a battle, Shante, they said such harsh things. And it was because, one, I appreciated that, because I didn't want them to take the girl's touch to anything, and I didn't want them to feel like, okay, because she's a girl, let's try to say these nicer, because then my win wouldn't necessarily be a win if someone runs slow. It's almost like being in a race. And what good is it for me to win this race if you didn't run your hardest, if you didn't run your fastest, if you didn't try to break a record? Because every time I'm in a race, I'm trying to break a record. So I'm going to cross the finish line no matter how I have to do it. And I wanted them to feel the same way about me. So it gives them a certain level of respect for you when they realize that when they come at you, they have to come hard.
So, but what was the first rhyme you ever wrote? What would you say? Do you remember the first rhyme you ever wrote, though?
That's one thing. Because I am a freestyle artist, my rhymes were never written. So the first song, even my first record, Roxannes Revenge, was done off the head. So that wasn't even that wasn't written either.
And in the studio, you did that in one take?
Yes. Yes.
Damn.
Yes.
Because even a lot of guys who might freestyle or have their rhymes written, they still got to go back and punch it in when they get in the studio, punch the line in. Oh, I messed up, let me go back. You did it all in one take?
One take. We didn't believe, one thing about Marley being a great producer, he didn't believe in punching. And I didn't have a strong enough voice to try to go in the studio and constantly punch, because nothing would ever sound the same because my voice fluctuates so much. And going in and just doing it in one take was fine for me, because I would go in, have whatever subject was my subject matter, rhyme about that and leave. I basically didn't spend a lot of time in the studio. Still today, I'm not a person who spends a lot of time in the studio. I think recently I worked on a project over the summer, and you know, my husband travels a lot with me. So we went to the house, and when we got there and we said, okay, we're gonna go to the studio. So we found the studio, we went inside, and it was written and done. I'm gonna say everything was done from the first time you hear the beat to leaving in about maybe 25 minutes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't waste studio time. You know, I don't waste my time, period. So, you know, I come in and I do what I'm supposed to do and leave.
Because that's with that being said, but did that just come natural for you, or was there a technique with that you learned, or?
I never wanted to be an MC. I just had what was called a Nipsey Russell syndrome. And having a Nipsey Russell syndrome, which is something that they nicknamed it, is because Nipsey Russell would be able to see anything and start to rhyme about it. And having that same ability allows you to be a great artist when it comes to going into the studio, because you're never lost for words. You're never trying to figure out what it is. All you need is the subject matter, and then you continue on the subject matter.
So, did you ever think that you would be here this long and stand the test of time? Because now you're considered to be a part of the classic hip hop, when they do like the art of rap, and you're going to be on the art of rap this year. I know with
Yes.
EPMD.
Yes, I am.
And I know Brand Nubian, I believe, is on it as well.
It's the list. I mean, I wish I had the list, but it's everyone on there. Ice Cube. It's everyone is on that.
But did you ever think that you'd be at this level where, like, you know, you have some people who are in the rap game who are literally, they're here today and they're going tomorrow. Like, because I know you still do a lot of shows and you tour.
Yes.
Did you ever think that you would last this long in the game?
Well, I think with any game, and it doesn't necessarily have to just be entertainment, you get out of it what you put into it. And I make it my business to give a great show. I make it my business to give a great product. Like, I've had a career that has spanned over 30 years, and in those 30 years, I've only made 2 albums. So 2 albums in 30 years compared to a new artist now who in 2 years will make 30 albums is the reason why there's a difference between what I place out and what they place out. So now the results will be different. It's almost like baking a cake in a microwave. It's never going to be as good as making a cake in a conventional oven. And I myself am a conventional oven, and I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. And I like the way you put that. I like the example that you gave. But also, too, I know now you also said that you went to school and you got a degree in psychology. You have an
Yes.
associate or bachelor's? What do you have?
I have a bachelor's.
Okay. And where did you go to school?
Marymount University.
Oh, okay. Right here in the city.
Yes.
In New York. And what made you decide to major in psychology, though?
Well, there's only 2 things that you can really deal with in hip hop, and those 2 things that you can deal with in hip hop are a lot of personalities and a lot of mental issues. So for one of those things, you would feel that psychology would be the best thing for you to take up, because you kind of want to understand the things that's going on around you. And at that time, I was about 21 years old, and I was already retired, which was something that people couldn't understand, is how were you able to retire at 21 years old, and then what do you do next? And you can do, there's nothing else for you to do but try to examine the mind after that.
So, and I know, because being in the entertainment industry, as you said, you deal with many different people, and because you have to interact with fans, you got to know the psychology, why they do the things they do, and even you as well, as to understanding one another.
Well, growing up in Queensbridge and having 30,000 neighbors really was the perfect prerequisite. So you really walk out of the projects with a degree in psychology more so than anything. And that comes with just being in the hood, period, and having to deal with so many different facets of life, and having to deal with so many different personalities and so many different circumstances. So in all reality, I think we're all walking around with our certain psychology degree just from the things that we experience every day. And being from the, quote unquote, being from the hood, being from the ghetto, being from the project, growing up in poverty, these were all the perfect prerequisites for being able to deal with the personalities that you see inside the entertainment industry.
Yeah, because as you just said, growing up in Queensbridge and with all the neighbors you had, and growing up amongst greatness like that, did as the crew, as the Juice Crew, did each member, they inspired you as you inspired them lyrically?
I would say that I don't know if I inspired them lyrically, because you're talking about being surrounded by some of the greatest lyricists ever. So you're talking about being surrounded by Kane, being surrounded by Biz, being surrounded by G-Rap, Master Ace, Craig G, Tragedy.
You guys
So really, I don't know. I don't feel as though I inspired them as far as lyrically. I may have inspired them as far as my crowd control, the ability to get on stage, my perseverance. I may have, and even just being the only girl in the crew, or even the only girl in the game at that time, that may have caused some inspiration. But lyrically, I can't say that. I'm not gonna say that.
You guys act that.
I can say a lot of things, but not that one.
Because Marley Marl and the Juice Crew, you guys basically wrote the blueprint for all the hip hop crews and cliques. Before there was like a Hit Squad, a Wu-Tang, any of those groups, you guys wrote that blueprint and we all came in like an army, like.
Yeah, absolutely. I take a lot of pride in that. I take a lot of pride in being considered as one of the first crews, because we weren't the first rap group, we were the first rap crew. And the difference between being a rap group and being a rap crew is that individually we were all great stars on our own. So individually we did not need each other to do a show. And I think that is what has been the success for the Juice Crew for so long, is the main reason, because we did not have to have each other there. Biz can do a show without Shante and Kane. Kane can do a show without Shante and Biz. Master Ace can do an album without having us on there. And I think that was one of the strengths that we had, where other groups, they could not perform without each other, or they could not do things without each other. And so for us, it was just better that way. And I think that's what made us, almost like, like Transformers, like we got together like Voltron, and then apart we were still good.
Mm-hmm. And then, I love the way you give these examples, like the oven and the Transformers, reminds me of the Brooklyn did, the Decepticons and all of that.
Absolutely. I think it's just making sure that everybody understands where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm. And also too, you're in entrepreneurship as well, because I know you had the ice cream parlor over there in Jamaica, Queens, on the south side.
Yes.
How can we put it in Queensbridge by your people?
What I did was I actually put it where it was most needed, and what I did was the business, how the whole script of the business was done. This is what it was based on. I hired only children who already had records. I hired teenagers who had already been in trouble, and that's all I hired, was teens that were already had. In order to work for me, you already had to have had a record. And the reason why I did that was because businesses like McDonald's, Burger King, and everything else, it was hard for them to get employment there. So that was the reason why our ice cream parlors, that's what we did there.
Okay.
So we only hired trouble youth. So you would take the thief and put the thief on the register. Exactly, because now he doesn't get any thrill from the register showing up short, but all he needed was for someone to trust him. And that was the main factor. And then you take the fly guy and you put him on the garbage. So now if he wanted to wear his Pradas and he was going to dress up after a while, he was going to give that up, because he's going to get tired of spilling ice cream on it and having to drag the garbage and things like that. And so they were very, very successful. And it came to a point where, unfortunately, they felt that my hiring practice was not proper, because they said that any person should be able to work there. So my thing was, I felt as though these kids needed this shot. These children needed that. They needed to know that when they filled out this application, when they looked on the bottom, when it says, have you ever been arrested, they should feel okay to be able to check that and not think that it was going to be some type of, repercussions because of them doing so. So we're definitely going to do it again, because so many people missed the ice cream parlor because of the environment. The environment was incredible.
I mean, that's the place in the summertime,
And Envy was our DJ.
Wait, you can't get better than that. You got DJ Envy, Roxanne Shante.
Envy was our ice cream. It was our designated ice cream DJ, and he says that to me all the time. Like, what? If it was not for you, Shante, then it wouldn't be no me, because you had me. Like, his popularity grew from the ice cream parlor and everything.
Yeah, that's what it is, and that's like you said. When people tell you those things, I'm sure those things, when people tell you, they're worth more than a check. At the end of the day, they're like, wow, you inspired me, to do what they do.
Absolutely.
And also, as you said, I know you have. What other business ventures are you getting into? Do you have any other business ventures that you're doing?
Well, now I've been blessed enough to have a nonprofit. And I have a nonprofit organization. Well, myself and my husband, we have a nonprofit organization called Mind Over Matter, where we actually go into high schools, and what they do is they actually give us the students that they feel were more difficult to handle, but it is done on. They have the choice of whether or not to come to class. So class is always packed. And we do life lessons along with regular lessons, but we do life lessons in high schools. And so right now we're located in Weequahic High School every Wednesday, all day Wednesday from 8 o'clock to 2 p.m. We started off with 21 little girls, and now we have 100 and some change.
Now that's impressive. It's right here, Weequahic High School in Newark, New Jersey.
Yes.
And now that is impressive.
279 Chancellor Avenue. Like, I've just gotten accustomed to saying the address.
Nothing wrong with that. I want to say thank you for coming through.
Absolutely.
But as I said, don't be a stranger. You have to come back.